In a time where everything is fast-paced and we rarely get time to reflect and grow as people, this channel's ethos is to help us do this while promoting that walk with Christ. So join me, beautiful people, and let's grow together. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, The Fullness of Philly. So I decided to mute this a second so I could give you a little bit of a background story, a little bit of a preview while we go through the motions of this video together. So this topic came into play when I was thinking about some of my secondary school theories and experiences about sex and how majority of them were actually phony. A lot of the things that we learned at that time was through our peers. And we're here today to talk to you about relationships, sex, and how parents should approach it. I was in secondary school, people were still kind of exploring themselves, and now people are exploring themselves even more. And it's difficult when you're in school and everybody wants to have discussions about sex, relationships, and just general discussions about everybody's hyped at that time, whether in your prime puberty at that stage. So everybody's kind of hot, everyone's kind of hyped. It's all intriguing when you're young, especially when, all you're hearing about it, with friends, people are doing things, people are saying things. It's all kind of fun and exciting. And if your parents or your family is not really discussing sex, relationships with you for one reason or the other, it just becomes that danger zone. Everybody wants to try the things that's a little bit dangerous, right? But if you have no knowledge behind it, you're just going to follow the crowd, or you're just going to follow your friends. Your friends are going to experience things. You're going to want to experience it because it seems fun, it seems exciting. When people aren't discussing it as openly, it's almost like a forbidden fruit. And what do people want to do with forbidden fruits? They want to try it, right? So when I was discussing these kind of things with my friends, kind of funny. It was funny because we learned about sex through crude formats, jokes and expressions, and we really thought it was a way of life. I mean, that just expressed our immaturity, but the reality of it is that's how we were learning. I was lucky enough to have a parent who was quite open, who was quite, transparent with everything. So I was kind of covered, I was kind of bridged. In fact, my mum was quite, open with me. She shared, she kind of explained the reasons why not to get involved in certain things. She was quite, I'm not going to lie, she was strict. However, I think now, at the age of 22 years of age, I know that, if she wasn't as strict as she was with me then, I would have been probably a loose cannon, So it was kind of for the good. I want us to get to the point where with our children, with our sisters, with our brothers, we're more transparent, filling them with the correct way of doing things. Because if you don't fill your brothers or your sisters or your son or your daughter with the right way of doing stuff, they're going to find their friends, or they're going to find your next door neighbor who's willing to talk about it with them. Why not speak on these issues when people are doing it anyway? In the current age that we are now, we've kind of come to this realization that the government are trying to implement sex ed to children in primary school. And, if you don't want your children to learn from the government because they have a holistic view, you may not agree with everything they say, you better be out there to inform them. You better teach your child about the right way to do things. Even if your opinion of it is to have safe sex, even though that's not what I promote, but if your opinion of it is to have safe sex, then you need to teach your child or your brother or your sister the way to have safe sex. Or if you say to them, the godly way, perhaps this is not the right time, wait till you're married to have sex, then you need to teach them that way. Because there's so many different ideas and so many different approaches to doing stuff in this current 21st century, right? And if you really want to be that guardian for your child, for your sister, for your brother, for your niece or nephew, you need to speak up and stop thinking that you're condoning it by not saying anything. Because what you're condoning is you're condoning them to hide things and more so do things behind your back. We all say, we shy away from the topic because it's not the most nobody really wants to have that conversation with their parents because it's quite awkward. You hear your mum talking about sex and it's oh my god, and you're like you wanna rip everything apart. It's like forbidden. They don't do that. But the reality of it is that somebody is gonna talk about it, and it's better that it comes from a place where they're safe, they're sound, they're protected, than it coming from a place where people just want to exploit them. You know, you don't know who your child can come across. Every day you leave your house and your child goes to school, your child may take the bus, you may drop your child to school, but when they're in that school, when they're out with their friends, you don't know what's going on. You don't know the conversations they're having. You don't know what your child even thinks. The majority of the times, we don't really know our children back to front like the way we think we do. Everybody has like certain things that they talk about with their family, certain things that they talk about with your friends. People may not necessarily talk about sex with their friends, with their family, but they will with their friends quite openly and quite overtly, quite like, this is what I'm intrigued about, this is what I want to experience. But if you never had an ounce of that conversation with your child, you would have never known exactly even the slightest of their opinions about it. And therefore you will not be able to guide them, you'll not be able to share your own life experiences, and they'll be basically subject to the experiences of the world. I know it may seem uncomfortable, it may seem a bit scary to be like, to tell your kids, because it's not very, nobody really wants to get into the, the nitty gritty of things. But, like I said, someone's going to do it. And if you have you have a way of thinking that you want to give to your kids, you need to be open. You need to be expressive about it, because somebody's going to be open and expressive about it to them, and they're just going to end up adopting that person's viewpoint if they like it, or have already experienced certain things, so they're just going to end up trying as they go along. And nobody wants their child to be in that sort of situation where they're just kind of dipping their toes in the water and then just trying to figure themselves out, and whereas you have gone through the same thing, which you could have prevented if you only just spoke up about it. Now we're going to move on to our panels. I have three guests with us today, and they're going to tell us a bit about their experience in school and secondary school, and how some of these stuff have affected their lives or their friends' lives, or just give us a little bit of an insight, so it's just not me talking. My first guest is Joshua and Vicky.
Well,
tell us about yourself. I just want you to.
I'm Joshua. Right now I'm 18.
So I'm just basically asking you about your experiences in secondary school. Were people shy about sex? Were people like, how was it? Like, just give us something that we don't, give us something raw.
So it's like, in terms of like sex and that kind of subject, secondary you don't really not much people talk about, but obviously it's talked about. But I feel like in secondary it's more of the type of like, if someone's talking about it, it's more of the type of to brag, to see like they're like more mature, that they've gone through that certain
who spoke
so
about
like, let's say I remember.
And who wanted to brag?
I remember talking to one of my boys, one of my friends, and they were like, oh, like yada yada, cut the story short, like I had sex, and then they were like, oh, this and that happened. Looking back on it, like obviously at that time I was like, oh wow, yeah. So but now looking back on it, it's like very unrealistic, a very unrealistic scenario, and it's like, and now I look back on it, I was like, wow, okay, like you get what I'm saying? It's like, it's kind of like to show off on celebrate. It's not really, and then like when that's secondary, because it's kind of like not really many people have gone through that, so people kind of use it as like, I got one over up on you, something like that.
Oh.
But in college, and then like that type of college and like sixth form, that kind of age there, it's like it's spoken about more normally, more casually.
So you're telling me that people would kind of brag about the situation. Wouldn't that would make some people want to do it? Want to kind of like,
100%.
Okay, well, if you've got one up, I want to try and get all the experience in up there too.
That's why.
And I can brag and show off to my friends that this is what I'm doing. Even if that may have not been at the forefront of your mind, maybe you didn't want to do that, but because they're showing off, because they're bragging, because they're in it, and everyone's talking about it, it's kind of like the hot gossip. You want to engage in that too. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. It's like, when you start seeing people talk about it, it's like, oh, I want to experience what he's experiencing. Like I really want to do that, what that person's saying. Like, oh, I want to go through that or something like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to remember that it was secondary, so you're not really going to get into that situation until a bit later. Many people...
sorry, I beg to differ. I know a lot of people.
See, that's the thing.
You know,
that I know
that
a lot of
you know, before secondary school and in secondary school were already fully engaged. Very, you know, they were telling me the gossip. You know, so you know, it's kind of like I knew people that were kind of involved. So I wouldn't. Maybe that there were people that weren't quite as experienced, but I'm pretty sure there were people who had some experience and were, you know, trying to transport their knowledge to other kids too.
Actually, but what I'm saying is that majority don't really get to that stage.
Vicky, darling, I want you to give me some input. Like, what was your kind of experiences?
Okay.
Same kind of question.
So I went to an all-girls school, so it was a bit different. So there was a bit of like craziness happening with like, because it was an all-girls school and there wasn't boys around. Some people would just say, "Oh, I'm bi" or "I'm lesbian" for like attention or stuff like that. And yeah, well, I'm moving away from that with the whole like sex and relationship thing. For me personally, with like my friends and like the group that I hung around, most of us, we didn't really like discuss that much, and most of us didn't really have boyfriends or anything, so it wasn't something that we really spoke about much. But as like we've gotten into like sixth form, uni now, a lot of them do have boyfriends and are probably like, those that are not Christians are probably doing whatever. In secondary, it wasn't anything that big. It was just more like some people moving a bit weird, like.
That's great.
Or like it was kind of shamed upon, kind of. Like if you heard that, oh, this person did that, it was kind of shamed upon, like, oh, like well, it wasn't something good, to be honest.
You know what though? I think that's basically. I think that's more so because you went to a all girls school.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, there's perks to that, and there's also kind of like you said, the bisexual lesbian thing. If somebody is a bit confused about like how they feel, they may want to engage in that, even though they really may not really be about it. They're just experiencing things just to experience it and say they have it in their belt, kind of thing. Also, is there anyone you spoke to, any guidance that you had that kind of told you right from wrong anyway, in terms of relationships and sex during secondary school?
Majority of my knowledge that I got about sex was from my mum and family. Story that actually made me change my view. The first person I told, not the person I've talked about earlier, but someone else, they were talking about this and that happened, and then someone else, one of my other friends, found out that they were lying. So then it just made me think like, oh, okay, this whole thing is like, it doesn't really make sense.
You're not trying to give us the what it's all about. Don't be shy, we open.
Okay,
guys,
so
right?
it was. He said that he got there was a scenario where he and someone had they were having sex.
Intimate?
Intimate. Very good word. They were very intimate inside the school. They were very intimate inside the toilets or something like that.
Oh,
and then
we've all heard that. I'm sorry.
We've all heard it. Yep, we've all heard it. And then we confronted him. He was like, yeah, it happened. We went to the girl. He said a completely different story. So he got cancelled, basically. He got cancelled straight away. And then that's how I was knowing that, okay, all of this, that and the other, it doesn't really make sense. That's when I started coming to the family talking about it. So what's this, what's that, what's actually going on?
You know, sometimes people don't seem to understand the importance of sex, and they just think it's something to brag about. You know, and it's okay, you know, because people are young, people are inexperienced. But when you get older, you would have just added a number of bodies to your body count, right? And it may just be a bit like, it wasn't worth it, you know? So sometimes it's better to have that knowledge, to have that teaching behind it, that kind of guidance from God, from your family. The reason why I feel like we were so safe because this is my brother, by the way, guys. The reason why we were so safe, right, was because we were brought up in the church. I know church kids, I've heard, they're the worst, right? But, you know, we were... But, you know, we were kind of like, we were really kind of in the church, like it was kind of our background, and my mom actually quite different. She didn't want us to be hearing stuff from other people and experiencing, so she tried to educate us as much as she could. Obviously, you're gonna hear stuff at school, you're gonna like hear things regardless, you're gonna wanna see different things regardless, but when you have that background knowledge, the kind of right from wrong, the kind of person that tells you that you have the potential to be pregnant, yeah, you have the potential to do this. This can bring, not only is it not a nice reputation for the home, right? You're damaging your own self. You don't know whether you're going to be with this person. You don't know whether you know, people do stuff with different motives behind it. And, you know, sometimes you found that if you learn the hard way in schools, I've heard some people that go into, they're in secondary school and whoopsie-doo, they got pregnant, and you know the person that they got pregnant by, you know, now you know he deleted the number, he doesn't want to talk to you no more. All of a sudden you felt like just a beat, right? And you felt like just, you know, you just felt kind of empty. So if you kind of had that guide behind that before, you kind of have an eye-opening to know that people have different motives. People sometimes just want you for sex, I'm sorry to say. And when you have that knowledge, you know how to move. You know how to move with respect for yourself. You know how to move, you know, even if you were just more patient with the situation, it would give you time to see where people are coming from, where people's hearts are. Because no one's going to tell you they want to use you for sex. You're going to have to open your eyes and see, you know, you're going to have to, you know, try and discern certain things. You know, if somebody really wants to be with you, you know they're going to want to try and spend more time with you. They're going to want to do this and do that. It's not going to be a wham bam, you know, kind of thing, you know, in and out kind of thing. I want a fast pace. Sometimes people even get mad when you say no. So, you know, I'm just trying to be open with you guys to let you know that there's a lot of things that go behind being in school. And it's not just education. When you're at school, you're experiencing different things. You're more exposed to the life. Even when you go to uni, that's a big one. There are so many things I've heard when people go to uni, right?
Yeah.
It's just to help your kids or help your family members to have the background knowledge, to just be more safe than sorry. Because sometimes some of these things can be avoided. You don't want to go through education. You don't want to go through secondary school and college and university, whatever, and having to have experienced so many heartbreaks which could have been avoided, which could have been like, you would have seen the red flags if somebody had just told you their own experiences, you know. Vicky, so did you have any guardians? Yes. Did you have any guardian at school?
So in school, we did have sex education, but that was year 6. That's the one I remembered first. And then in secondary school, a teacher did tell us to like go home in the mirror and like check your like private areas or something like that. And yeah, I don't know. But my main like guidance was from my parents and mainly my mum. She was like telling me just the main thing she always says to me, like
no, go ahead. You know, we ain't. Okay. It's okay.
Yeah, the main thing she always says to me is just don't do anything with no boys, like don't do anything silly, and that you should really hold yourself for marriage and wait. So that's the main thing she has taught me. It's like about that kind of topic, and she has spoken to me about it in more depth and like give me advice and like explain to me why and all that.
Transport that knowledge to your family, especially people that you care about. It's better that you speak than you be quiet about it, because like I said, somebody is going to open up. Someone's going to tell them about it.
Might be the wrong person.
It might be the wrong person. And then like, they may start doing stuff with that person, or that person may want to exploit them. There's so many different avenues it can go to. But if you love the person that you're with, the you know, your family member, you'd want to open up a bit more about it.
And even let's be honest, even if they don't get it from a specific person, they have Google.
Oh my god.
They have Google.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. It's a whole different avenue. Listen, the impact of Instagram alone, you know, the impact. What's that new thing now?
OnlyFans.
There's so many things like, you know, that can open a world of experience. You know, if you don't do it from early, they experience there's so many things. It becomes part of their personality. So you don't want that to be a thing where your child who was so quiet at the beginning, who knew nothing about this stuff, because they've been trained by their peers, kind of things. They now have an army of them side by side, and they all create an OnlyFans together, kind of thing. So you just want to let them know so they can have all the knowledge to make the best decision, and for themselves. Okay, so now my last guest is my mom. you know, she's a world of wisdom to me. You don't even understand the kind of knowledge my mom has input in me during the years, kind of thing. She's also a pastor, you know, like I said, pastor. My mom's, you know, I've always been a church kid. She's helped so many different people, and I also believe that she can help you today. So I brought my mom along to you guys to kind of like give you some words of wisdom too.
No fullness of feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
having me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity
That's
to
fine.
come to your broadcast.
Thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
my mom has been like, you know, she's been the kind of, so I, you know, even before I started the YouTube, she's always been the one to push me, yeah, do this, do that. Sometimes you need somebody that's behind your corner, always trying to cheer you on. And I thank God for the kind of parent that I've had, you know, to kind of give me that kind of push, that kind of, you know, it's not easy out there. Sometimes there's so many things that tell you can't do it. There's so many things that kind of give you that cold shoulder. And if you don't have the warmth in your home, like where else are you gonna get it from? My mom has always been that kind of support for me, and support even for my friends, kind of thing. Some of my friends see my mom as their mom too. So I'm so happy that she's able to be here with you guys today to kind of like
Thank you.
give you like a little bit of.
Thank you, Philly.
So how do you feel? How do you feel about sex, relationships, and telling your kids and all that? Give us a little overview of your own opinion.
Well, first of all, I thank God for this opportunity. Like I said just now, I thank God for Philly, Philippa. I will call it in full. I know you guys there, Philly, yeah, Philippa. Okay. I thank God for her life, having allowed God to use her to be a blessing to the nation. I give God the glory. And I thank God for, you know, for both of them, you know, allow me to being able to, you know, being able to talk to them, being able to be a blessing to them, even to their friends. I thank God for that. You know, sometimes, you know, parents want to also talk, but the children can also say no. Or sometimes the children can also say, okay, you know, so we're not putting all the blames on them.
Okay.
So we're gonna go a little bit around today, you know. But I'm happy that they were able to give me ear to speak to. You know, though they are born bred, when I say born bred, Christian, born from the church, but at the same time, most children from the church, they are worse. You know, they make it difficult for, you know, for their parents being ministers to minister to them. But they make it easier. The glory goes to God. I thank God Almighty for being our Father, for being everything. You know, He's the one that deserves all glory. All glory goes to Him, but because many people have this opportunity, but they were not able to do it. But God, in His infinite mercy, being our Father, being our first prophet, our Lord Jesus Christ, giving us the grace to do all we can. It's not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord. So I thank God for enabling us. I believe parents, you know, we are the royal models to our children. And it is a great privilege for God to bless you with children. So when you have them, please, all that is in you, all that God has blessed you with, you owe it to them. You know, to be free with them, to bring them close, to tell them, to open up to them. Even your mistake, do not let them go through it. Open up to them, let them know how it is. Because if you are not telling them everything, somebody out there will be telling them the wrong one. And they will dive into it because they just hear it and that's it. But if you tell them everything about it, this is how it is. You know, there's nothing like, you know, let them know the secret of, you know, what is called mirage out there. Let them know the truth here. So that once they know when somebody is saying or teaching it, blah, 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 whatever, they just laugh. I say, thank you. You know, because they hear it from home. Because you have taught them by the grace of God. You have showed them how it is. You have showed them early sex, what it will give them. You know, or waiting till they have it when it's ripe. And how to maneuver, how it is. When you know, when they go the wrong way, the danger, the consequence. When they go the right way, when it's ripe, when they eat them, what they will get in that ripe, the blessings that God have said there. You know, remember what the proverb says, parents. Say, train up your children in the right way. they will not depart. And after they will come back to that very word. You might think they are not hearing that very word you are pouring to them. It might be somehow, but they will come back to it. They will come to love you. Mommy always tell me, they will remember. But that's how you're saying, might look some, oh mommy. But they will come to love it. They will come to love it. So parents, I would say, please be open. Be open with them, because they are your loins. They are your blessing. They are what God has put it inside of you. See them. See the nations in them. You're not just dealing with one person. Nations. God put nations inside of your kids. And that nations inside of them, you are the anchor to bring them, to train them to be a royal model. See, because children are very quick to copy. That thing which you do, they will copy it. Do your best. Know that you are living for those children. They are the children that will speak well of you. The Bible says in Psalm 127, it says they will stand at the gate to speak to your enemy. That is after you have done your work. After you have done your own work, they will stand by the gate to speak to your enemy. But if you have not done your own work, they will just be, the enemy will come in, they don't know what to say. But if you impart them inside, when the enemy is coming, this is right there. You can't come in because this is my father's house, this is my mother's house, this is the home, this is our home. But if you have done your part, they have that knowledge, they will stand at the gates to rebuke the enemy. That means after you have imparted them, create that knowledge in them, have helped them to know themselves that they are great, that nations are inside of them, they will become what God has predestined, what that blessing that God has given to you. So parents, be free. Let them know. Don't shy away from it. Let them
All right, guys. So I'm going to pose a question to everybody on this panel, right? I want you to give your most transparent opinion and your reasons behind it. Just quickly, yeah? So what age do you think is right for parents to start talking about sex and relationships and all of the above with their kids? Because sometimes kids are young, they may not be ready, but this is also the debate by the government. They've started teaching it from primary school now. But do you guys think it's the right age? Do you think it's the right age from primary school, or do you think when they get older, when they get more mature, when they hit puberty, what is the kind of bracket that you guys would? Let's say you have kids now. You say you guys have kids. What would you guys do?
Well, depends. Are you talking about the government or
Well, this is parents, because the government are doing one thing.
Well, the government are teaching it outside from the age of 6 now. So as parents, I think they should be teaching it too, because you must let your children know what is going on from the age you're teaching it out there, so that your children don't get confused. But if you shy from it, they're already teaching them out there. So you better start early.
There's a YouTube family that I actually watch, and they're a Christian family and they're based in the UK, and they've actually started teaching their children about it already, and their children are like 10, 8, 6. They have like 5 children, I think. So 10, 8, 6, 4 and 2. Obviously the younger ones won't really understand it, but the 10-year-old, the 8-year-old and the 6-year-old, they might understand it more, and like they're learning about it the right way. Like their parents have taught it to them in a way that it's real, and it's like not like just making up like where babies come from, but like it's real, but it's obviously not to the point where it's something that's too graphic. Like it's just
too vulgar.
They just taught it like a nice way, so they're gonna grow up knowing that. So I think that's
I know some people will go against it in the society, but at the same time, they better start embracing it, because they're already teaching. The government are already teaching it. So there's no need of getting angry parents about it. I know this part of what Africans or Asians are not very used to, but once they are teaching it here, please, fathers, mothers, guardians, let's start teaching our children. Let them know, so that you know what you teach your children before they go out there. If you're a good parent, let your child know what is right before somebody else is teaching them. How many fights can we fight? Can we really fight the government? But you have to start showing your children the right thing, so that what they are teaching them out there will not corrupt their mind. So you know that you guide them in the right way.
I agree.
I feel like
Joshua,
in terms of if I had kids, I'll probably teach them in stages. So it's like simple stuff, and then build that up over time. Maybe around year 6, like when you're 10, 12, to tell them about sex. Because when you go into secondary, it's gonna be people telling you a lot of like stuff that it's gonna be a lot of fake. And a lot in experience, as you said before. So definitely teach them around that time before they get in secondary, so they have like an actual knowledgeable view, an actual mature view of what it is, even if they are not mature themselves, but they have the view from their parents. And then going on, they can now learn a lot more, so that when people tell them and when people try to inform them about some type of thing, they would know already, so they don't really have to be there like, oh really, is it like that? Because they already know.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with, do you know what? There's so many different ways to go about it, but the first thing is that you have to go about it some way. You have to say something, you have to speak on it. We've said it so many times here today, but there's so many people are speaking about it out there. So you better be you better input the knowledge that you have, the experience you have. You better speak up, because somebody is speaking. Expressive with your kids. If you're more transparent, they're more likely to confide in you. This happened yesterday, Mom. This happened yesterday. I don't know whether I should do it. This person is pressuring me. Sometimes there's things that go on that the child wants to tell the parent, but they don't know if they're going to beat them and send them to their room. You know, that gets long. No one wants to have that on top of.
I want to quickly speak to parents that are still doing that to their kids. Please, if they need knowledge, if you see that there is kind of activeness in them, okay, teach them. Don't shy away from it. Because if you don't show them, somebody else is going to capture their vulnerability and going to show them the wrong one. Don't shy away from it. I don't like that kind of system in parents that they just want the kids to be like, no, that is not saying that maybe they are disciplined or maybe they are free from sex or whatever. No, as a parent, you need to do your part. Show that child, guide that child. That is why you are there. Guide that child so that child will know where to stand and how to be able to, sit well and what to do in the sight of boys, in the sight of girls. There are some certain things that when I see with my kids, now my kids know me. I say, excuse me, oh, come on. We're going to talk about this. Sit down. We talk about it. It doesn't matter how doesn't matter how people see it. We talk about it. I show them the danger and the reason behind it.
Yeah.
I said, now make your choice. Whether you want to eat it raw. If you eat it raw, this is the danger. If you eat it at the right time, this is the benefit. So you give that child, you let that child open it to the child. Let that child know. Open the eyes of your kids. Because I want them. Because kids are very good. Or when they see somebody with you and you say no, they will copy. They will do it. But when you live for them, and they see it, that yes, my mom, I thank God, they want to copy the same thing. It's a sacrifice I'm talking about here. And it got to a time that that yes, I've sacrificed. Now I need to sit up. I need to, start enjoying myself, because my kids know now. They now know the difference between their left from the right. Do you understand? Please, parents, I want you to be a little bit open. Some parents, they have different kinds of boyfriends and girlfriends and all those kind of stuff. Do you understand? If you have parents, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not opening wounds out there for my kids' sake. The children are watching. If you want to set a good example, sometimes you have to deny yourself. Deny yourself. And after you get the kids to some stage, you can say, yes, I'm going on now. And now I can choose a partner. God, you can open the door. But sometimes, for them to be able to stand and know that it's not good to do this, you stop. Please, for the kids' sake. So that when they see you, that my mom was able to stop, my mom was able to say, no more, no way. I'll wait for God to do the right thing, because I have kids. So, that they are growing and they need a good example. For your kids' sake, there are some doors you shut so that they can learn from you. Do we get it?
Thank you. Last thing, guys. Obviously, your children pick up things from their parents, right? They feel like their parent is wise. They're more prone to listen to what they have to say. People pick stuff real quick, so you have to be that role model for your child, because if they feel like your life doesn't represent what you're preaching, they're gonna be like, okay, hush, let me live it, let me choose my own way, because evidently your life ain't. So it's kind of like, don't say stuff you can't do, but if you made mistakes, explain to them, be open, be transparent about the mistakes you made, and just be like, I don't want the person that I love to go through this. This is why I'm teaching you a different way.
I want to quickly, and parents, please, there are some certain things that you have to change because of your kids. if you really loved him. There was a time that I was very, very, but it got to some time.
Very.
I have, thank you. So, but I have to be able to sit up. When I see that my kids are growing up and I say, okay, I have to sit up. There are some silly things I say, no.
I'm happy that you guys could hear a bit about my mum's kind of overview on it. And she could be a blessing, a mum to you guys too. I really hope that you guys take something from this and just be more expressive, be more open. Sometimes, I can't even lie, sometimes when my mum was telling me back in the day when she was telling me, this is what I want, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, it was a bit cringy. Like, I didn't want to hear it because it's like, who wants to hear sex from their parent? Who wants to hear relationships from their parents? It's almost like, I know you know it, but I don't need to know, kind of thing. But she's right. Like, when I was placed in certain situations, I remembered, like, okay, this is not for me. You just kind of, all the knowledge kind of pours back out when you're on your own, or, like what they say, before you hit the pillow, you always kind of reminisce the day, you kind of remember what was said, you kind of, it gets stored as knowledge, you remember it. It just may not be sweet when you're hearing it. So, parents, don't be shy. Whatever they say, let them talk, let them feel how they feel. They're gonna come back anyways. What can they do, right? So I'm so happy that we, Vicky, Joshua, Mom, you could join us today. I'm gonna sign out now. See you guys in my next video. I do love you, my Phillies, right? See you guys in my next video. Bye.